What's up YouTube, Capital G here talking Metalphosis in this video and looking at the crazy concoctions that they are coming up with in the OCG, asking the question, is this going to become the meta of the OCG and possibly even the TCG? These decks don't translate 100% over to the TCG, but just the concept and the spirit of Metalphosis, more or less the archetype, how good can it be? I'm not doing like a boom or bust because, you know, not ready to do that quite yet, but we're just going to be talking about Metalphosis. What you guys are looking at is, well, I'm not sure how exactly to label these decks. Maybe we call them Metalphosis X Magic Spectre or Metalphosis Spectre or whatever, however you want to properly label this deck. It's actually been doing fairly well on the competitive circuit. So Konami is doing these events in Japan. They had one in the Kanto region of Japan, and it was over 200 players, and Metalphosis actually got top 2. It doesn't say here whether the Metalphosis deck got first or second. Honestly, it's really not that relevant. And then there was another event. This one had 160 players in the Tokai. I guess this was like the Tokai tournament, and once again Metalphosis got top 2. Both decks were pretty much Metalphosis like Magic Spectre oriented. Now the thing about Metalphosis was I wasn't too thrilled when these cards got revealed in the Dark Illusion. I was like, oh, it's like Ignite 2.0. But what I didn't realize is how much freaking utility there is from their effect of essentially blowing anything up on their field to search a Metalphosis Speller Trap and set it on the field. Like, I looked at the fusion and I was like, oh, that's kind of cute. You can, you know, set the fusion and then activate it and then put it back in your deck and draw a card. But I didn't think about two things that I think make this deck or this archetype really good. One, the fact that their pendulum scales are all 1 in 8s, which if Pendulum Magicians taught us anything, like that's 1 in 8 is like so good because it means that you can just incorporate anything into the deck. Remember when, you know, we had like Pepe Magicians, and we were just able to throw in anything, like everything from Apex Avion to like people were playing, you know, freaking Grand Shogun Shien and all of these other random high level monsters that you generally can't put in decks because no one wants to tribute summon, so fuck that. But you just be able to pendulum summon these things, and it allows you to, you know, put monsters in like Magic Spectre Unicorn, which this has actually been popping up a little bit in the TCG. I saw Jeff Jones was kind of messing around with pendulums, and he was running this engine 2 of the 3 Unicorn plus the 3 Magic Spectre Raccoon. Maybe he got this from the OCG, I'm not sure. But I mean, a lot of it has to do with Unicorn kind of just being the end game, and if you've ever had to play against this card, especially if you use extra deck monsters as your primary win condition, if you play like a Fusion, Ixie, or Synchro based deck, this card is just, oh my god, it's just a nightmare, dude. Because once your opponent gets this card on the field, you can't target it, you can't destroy it, so there's no Regeki, there's no like, you know, evac device, don't bother trying to target it or anything like that. And as soon as you summon something important like an Ignister or a Dynastor or a Dark Law or something, your opponent just bounces it back to your hand, and then it's just like, wow, I wasted all that time trying to summon that card, and then they're just gonna drop it on you again, just like Apex Avion. It's just a walking Solemn Judgment, and since this deck has nothing but, you know, 1s and 8s, you never have to normal summon these guys. You can just pendulum them every single turn, get their value out, bounce into your hand, and then do the same thing during your next turn. Now, Metalphosis in the OCG have way nutty combos that I don't think we're going to have in the TCG. 2 of them are Cyberstein and Chicken Game, which is a little absurd that they still have this card. I guess they haven't realized how broken it is yet. But with Chicken Game, you're basically allowed to just activate it, pay 1,000 light points, draw a card, and then just blow it up with any of your Metalphosis guys, and then search something like a Metalphosis fusion or combination, etc., etc. And then you never have to, like, you don't have to worry about your opponent turning it off, or you can still do battle damage that turn if your life points were ahead or whatever. Cyberstein's even more nuts in this deck, and I'm really hoping that Cyberstein does come to the TCG by the time that Metalphosis come out, because who knows, you know, we finally got Dark Magician of Chaos back out of nowhere. That card went from 3 to, that card went from banned to 3, like, all at one time. So, you know, cross my fingers. Here's hoping that Cyberstein will come off the list. And Cyberstein works so good in this deck, not just because you can actually summon all of these Metalphosis monsters, which obviously works with combination. You can pay your 5k, you can get the Metalphosis, but then you can also summon broken things like Neteria Exterio, which you ain't got no business summoning, but you can do it because Cyberstein's legal. You also have lockdown potential with like the Last Warrior from Another Planet. But in this deck, it fixes, I guess, the biggest drawback of Cyberstein, because I've always thought The reason Cyberstein should be legal is Cyberstein is one of the ultimate high risk, high reward cards. I mean, it has a high reward. You can win the game sometimes off of Cyberstein, or you can put your opponent in a like really just ridiculous lock that they can't get out of. But at the same time, Cyberstein gives up 5,000 life points, and if you give your opponent a turn, especially in a game where we now have things like Utopia the Lightning that can go to 5k attack as a just essentially a generic rank 4, you will lose. Like if you give your opponent the opportunity to run over your Cyberstein in attack mode, you might lose the game right now because you're probably at 3,000 or less life points if you activate a Cyberstein. This deck actually, it gets rid of that Achilles heel because in this deck with Metalphosis, don't leave your Cyberstein on the field. Just blow it up and then just, you know, search a Metalphosis card. So that's really good. And again, at the same time, you can potentially trigger combination as well. Now, another thing I didn't realize is even if Metalphosis, even if they potentially, like, I thought maybe they might run teleport and whatnot. Looks like that's not really coming to fruition. But even if teleport, you know, got limited to 1 or something like that, and they were running teleport, the fact that Painful Decision pretty much searches like almost the entire archetype is really, really convenient because you can just max out 3 of all of these guys. And I mean, you get to search everything except Wolfflame. So that's really, really cool. So I'm looking at Metalphosis and there's multiple ways to build this. You see, this is another variant. This one was more of a defensive variant. It ran Guiding Aratnes so that obviously you could just pop your Aratne, whether you wanted to do that with Luster Pendulum or you wanted to just do that with the Metalphosis cards, and then you'd just be able to search like Solemns and whatnot. They have Solemn, Judgment in the OCG. We don't have that, but the concept is still pretty much alive. Now, when this deck comes to the TCG, Cyberstein and Chicken Game will be 2 cards that we obviously don't have access to, but you know, I think we could possibly live without the Cyberstein. Now, one other variant of Metalphosis that I think definitely can see some play, and it's actually why I started kind of respecting the deck because I played it online a couple of times and got beat by it on stream, is Metalphosis plus Yang Zing. Now, this also allows you to play kind of defensive because, you know, Yang Zing do have Zephyr Divine Strike. That's a searchable card. You get you get a lot of draw power because you can also search Yang Zing Path, and then you just get like Baxia spam because you can just pretty much pop any Yang Zing that you want and then just search another card. So you never have to worry about that, you know, slow, oh my god, I gotta worry about these Yang Zings getting killed. Like, you don't have to worry about that. You just pop your Yang Zings as much as you want while at the same time searching for your traps. And if your traps get blown up, it doesn't really matter. That's one thing I like about this deck. It's really, really resistant to spell and trap destruction because even if you lose your scales, the trap search the scales anyway, so it's like not that big of a deal. And then the fusion lets you draw a card. You know what I mean? Now this card is interesting. People are playing Vortex Trooper and the OCG. I don't really know about this card. You know, some potential here. Not completely in love with it. This is a GX card if I'm not mistaken. It was like a video game promo. When it's normal summon, you shuffle a couple of cards back into your deck, and then you draw 2 cards, but when it's destroyed, you draw another card. Now, with 0 attack, it used to kind of be like, oh man, do I really want to, you know, have this thing get ran over? You know, I don't know if I really want to do that, but, and again, Metalphosis, you can just blow it up yourself, so you can just normal it, essentially refresh your hand, blow it up, and then draw a couple of cards, and then still have your Pendulum Summon accessible so that you can, you know, drop this and this and this and a whole bunch of other big monsters. So Metalphosis are looking really interesting. And again, I know people are going to be like, Cap, this is not going to translate to the TCG. Again, if you take out the Cybersteins and the Chicken Games, which this version didn't even run Chicken Games, so, you know, you obviously could go like a Guiding Aratne version or a Yang Zing version. It definitely could work. Now, it'd be nice if we get Cyberstein because that would be the cherry on top because Cyberstein is just fucking stupid in this deck. Like, it's just that good. It has too much synergy not to run at least a couple of copies. But what do you guys think of Metalphosis? I am gaining a lot of respect for this deck because I just didn't, sometimes I don't see the forest for the trees when I see archetypes. I try not to give every archetype the benefit of the doubt because too many bad archetypes that don't do anything to expect every one of them to be great. But like, I'm pretty shocked that this archetype is doing this well when Duelist Alliance, or excuse me, the Dark Illusion has only been out for like what, 3 weeks ish in Japan. So let me know what you guys think. Thank you for watching as always. Also, we will be doing the Vape Nation Invitational tonight. It'll start around 8:30. I know I missed Thursday's stream. I'll explain that on Saturday's stream, but I will see you all. I'll see you guys there.